Hi, Angie here from Crafts at Home. Welcome back to this video series where I'm going to be featuring the art of quilting from Shape Artworks. Hopefully you'll have completed your first 5 blocks and have them stored ironed, flat and ready for joining in later issues. With this issue you'll be receiving the daisy, royal blue and white on white spot fabrics to create the whirlwind block. Before you begin, iron all of your fabrics so they're nice and flat, and this will make them easier to work with and improve the overall finish of your quilt. Let's start marking and cutting. So I've done the marking on all 3 fabrics. It's a bit more difficult to see on the blue, but I have gone along with the pencil lines. So I'm going to start cutting with the new daisy fabric. Take this edge off to start with. Go down the middle seam. Remember to keep all of your offcuts. You might be able to use them in further issues if you need them, or as I use them for my stitch savers for the sewing machine as I'm going along, so I can change it regularly. If you feel a bit more confident, you can line your points up and cut them both at the same time. That's the new daisy. I'm going to go ahead and do the white on white spot and the royal blue, and I'll see you back here in a few moments. Hiya! So as you can see now, I've laid everything out as it has on page 22. Your first step is going to be to turning your white and your blue over together. Make sure when you do lie them all down that you've got the white up the right way. So I'm just going to put the bias edges together, making sure they match and pinning along the correct seam. Again, I pin a right angle so I know where I'm going to be sewing. I can pull the pins out as I'm going. Again, turn the white onto the blue. That's your centre corner up. And your edge. It's always a good idea to look and remember each time with this one which way you fold over, because you want to make sure that you're sewing the right seam and not the wrong seam. So this is why with this one I turn and I pin straight away. That way there is no confusion. Just be careful when you're doing this not to stretch your edges, because you are working with that bias edge and you don't want to distort your fabric. So now I've got all 4 pieces done. I'm going to pop over to the sewing machine, chain stitch these together, and I'll see you over there now. So I'm now going to sew down this seam here. You've got to make sure, if you're going from that leading edge, when you're popping it in to start with, make sure that both your fabrics are flat. And another thing, you want to sew from that corner, as that's the 6mm mark. So as usual, you pop it into your machine first. Sew up to your first pin. Take that out and then carry on to your second one. And take the second one through. So that's all 4 done. I'm just going to grab my stitch saver from the end and pop that back under. That's now all 4 flags done, and I'll see you over at the ironing board in a moment. So as you can see, I've gone along these first seams. Now we're going to do something against the norm again, and we're going to be ironing towards the white. So as usual, you just set your seam and open up. I'm just going to be doing this for all 4. So we've got those. Now I'm going to bring in new daisy, and the next thing to do is face down to each other. Place them up and pin. Do your centre seam first and then your edges, being careful all the time because these are bias seams that you're now working with. Just do these for all four. The reason that I'm putting daisy down first and then the blue and white is so I can make sure that that seam is still lying flat and it's still flat when I pin it down. Just makes it easier if all your seams are sewn in the direction that they should be lying. Again with this one, when you're actually sewing it, you need to sew from that point there to that point there because that's the full 6mm seam. I'm just going to pop underway and do these 4 seams and I'll be back in a moment. So I've gone along these edges and I'm now going to iron them open. You want to iron away from the daisy and towards the white and blue. As usual, we set the seams and neatly iron open. So now I've got the 4 squares, just going to place them together. So we've got the finished pattern again. Flip up and then pin along these edges. Just make sure that everything matches up evenly again. In the corner there you have actually got the two corners that meet up. So it's a good idea just to set the seams into each other, just so it's nice and tidy for your final sew. The same on here. If I show you, it's where those two corner ones meet in and they actually work at an opposite seam. So just work on that corner first. It's your centre one after all, so you want that to match. Get it nice and flat before putting your pin in. And then work on your outside line. Right, now I've got those two pinned, I'm going to pop and sew these and I'll be back in a moment. So I've just gone along this last seam now, and again we've got to iron away from the daisy. So set the seam nicely and open up. I'm just going to turn that one round, and as you can see we just need to do this last seam now so everything will match in. So you just make sure, again you've got a lot of fabric in this one corner, so you just need to make sure that everything is lying neatly and flat, and then give it a pin. I'd say probably to the side that you're going to start sewing. So I start sewing there, so I'll pin here, just so you're not trying to go through or actually push your seam open if you try and go through the centre of it. If you want to double check before you pin, pinch there and open up, just to make sure you've got your centre seams running right. Really got a lot of bulk going in there, so you've got to take your time just to make sure that everything lines up. I'm actually going to take it away from all of the bulk, but then I'm going to put another one in the other side of this seam. And then do my ends as normal. Right, I'm going to pop away and sew this final seam, and I'll be back in a moment. So I've just gone along this last seam now, and I'll open it to check it first before I iron. And that I've got perfect points straight into the middle. So I'm going to set the seam first. As we did with issue 5, because we've got a lot of bulky seams in that centre, I'm going to open the seam out again. So again, just tease it and go in with the tip of your iron. Get your fingers out of the way and give it a bit of a steam if you need to, just to help set. You can do, just turn it around and go from the other edge. It will just help to get that centre seam open. Just want to make sure that everything else at the same time is just neatly down. And again, give that middle seam a nice press and a steam. And there we go. We've now finished issue 6. And as you can see, it's got nice neat seams on the back, nice neat points and finishes on the front. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and the block that we've created. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified of new videos. Further information about crafts at home, the art of quilting and Hachette Partworks can be found on the social media pages which are listed in the description. Don't forget to join us next week for issue 7 where we'll be making the checker block. See you soon!